I like to liken it to the Avengers and how everyone is really good at their one thing.
My personal definition of consulting at AFS is coming in, working with the client to truly understand their problem.
It's more than just solving problems that I thought it was before. It's more about creating value for your client.
We anticipate our clients' needs before they know what their problem is.
Helping the client achieve a goal. And all of us are working together to achieve that unified goal.
And they all come together with that diversity of skills and perspectives to help solve the client need or the client problem.
I love the people. I love working in so many different teams. It's so diverse.
It's very inclusive. It very much pushes each individual to do their best.
Accenture encourages us to bring our true selves to work because when we're all different, that's how we get such amazing creativity and innovative ideas.
At this company, you will feel like a part of the family. 100%. People actually care, and it goes further than just the people on your team.
And everyone within Accenture leadership is very approachable, which I think is a really, really great foundational aspect of the culture at Accenture.
I make a difference to my client by really owning my project. The most meaningful part of my job is being able to see the code I write be produced into production and have a real-world impact.
Being able to deliver work that has a direct positive impact on our federal services, our government, or our people.
Personally, I have helped to raise the number of applications to my agency and the amount of jobs we're actually putting out per year, which is awesome. I'm so happy about that.
We make a difference for our client by always making sure that they're on a new path and that they're working with the newest technologies. We actually have an innovation day where we pitch to them the newest technology that we found that can help them.
I noticed it when I wanted to hang out with my coworkers outside of work.
For me is when I joined the African American Employee Resource Group. It felt great to join a community that was a little smaller than just AFS as a whole.
For me, I was so fortunate that it was my very first day in the office. I saw someone I had met at a conference who really piqued my interest in Accenture. I met my summer buddy who just so happened to work in my office as well. And I realized I was basically surrounded with family.
When we were at a meeting that was account-wide and we were recognizing individuals for their accomplishments, it was just great to see AFS really value their people.
I made a big mistake, and I was like, this is probably the first mistake I've ever made in my career, like really big. And I was like, oh no, this is gonna be awful. Like, I'm gonna get fired. Like, people are gonna hate me. And then I remember my manager coming up to me and just saying, hey DJ, like, I know you're probably bugging out a little bit about the mistake, but it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. Like we always fix everything. And at that moment, I was like, wow, like this, like I said, this is more than just a job. People actually care about their people here. And at that moment, I definitely was like, hey, like this is home for sure.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the town hall, sponsored by Accenture Federal Services, which we just watched a quick video of. Kind of the beginning of this is like we always do it, a little bit of housekeeping stuff. We'll do a few updates and then talk specifics about programs, and then get into questions that anybody might have. The normal housekeeping stuff, we're going to stop at 7. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. You need to make sure that you have a Twitch account in order to type into the chat. We'll try to answer them all, and if we don't get to them, we'll try to get back to you on some of them. As far as the overall update goes, I guess, Leanne normally would be here and doing this part of it for us, but she's actually at a meeting with a bunch of the new first headquarters CEO and some of the other folks from headquarters. So she can't be here tonight, but she wishes she was. But obviously doing important things with headquarters. Again, I think the big news that came out this past week is the single world championship, and they're going to be doing it in Houston. So it's in that Houston, the big question in everybody's mind is how many slots will we get to Worlds? We have no idea directly. Obviously, it's going to be fewer because it's in one location. I think they're going to try and make it a little bigger, but they're going to limit how many people go and that kind of thing. So we'll find out those as the season goes. I'm guessing it'll be another month or so before they actually have a better handle on that. That holds true for both FTC and FRC, obviously, because we go to the same places. And as always, don't hesitate to contact myself or Leanne or even anybody else that you have any questions about any of the things we're going to cover. I just left this in here from last time. I mean, I think the whole thing is, we're going to follow CDC and local guidelines as much as we can. We're trying to keep people separated as much as we possibly can. And the bottom one, at this point in time, masks are mandatory at any of our events. The last time we also talked about, we were voting on a T-shirt. So this is specifically the T-shirt for FTC. All the volunteers for it will get a shirt. And FRC, First Headquarters, gives us shirts for all the volunteers. So when that shirt comes out, you'll be getting one of those if you volunteer for FRC events. But this one here, whether you're, and that'll hold true in there too, is whether you're a remote volunteer or you're an in-person volunteer, you'll get shirts for either program, depending on what's in there. Kind of a little bit of an update on here is I'm not sure everybody knows enough to go there. The piece that's on the bottom of that page, that eventsforchesapeake.org, is oriented more specifically towards teams and team information and things you need to know as you sign up for events, to go to events and where you load in and schedules and all that stuff around there. But we also have information about some of the volunteer needs specific to those events. All FTC events are up in the dashboard, so you can apply to any of those. And that includes, if you're applying for virtual things or in-person things, it's all in the same places. For FRC, the issue right now is only the only thing that's out there is their championship. The other events don't show up yet. And it's we'll talk a little bit more about how these events work. But, for our events, there's a day one of the event, day two of the event, and then the awards overall. And people are going to be able to actually apply to those different pieces, and they require some system changes. And headquarters hasn't got through them yet. So I'm not sure exactly when they're going to come out, but, we're trying to recruit people for for FRC as well. Just makes it hard when you can't really apply to anything but the championship. The other one is, we've talked about it, is, we're trying to keep as many roles remote as we possibly can to keep the numbers down and get the most number of students at them. The big one is obviously judges. If you look at the number of events, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but like we have on 12/4 is our first FTC event. We basically already have, we have 12 FTC events. We're probably going to be adding 2 more. So we'll have 14 FTC events to judge and 6 qualifiers for FRC to judge. So we need a lot of judges in there. The cool part is they're remote, so they can be anywhere. Anyway, something to think about. You go to that events page, you can see some of them in there. The other ones that we have in there for online, we use commentators, and the commentator position kind of like a game announcer. You do recaps of plays and that kind of thing. Along with that, we're also looking for some video editors to help us break apart, some of the match videos and figure out, hot spots in there that the commentators can talk about. So if you're into video editing and want to learn more about it, please take a look at what's out there. And any of us would be happy to talk to you a little bit more about the details of what that really is going to entail and go with. So, the 3 things we talked about before is, we're having hybrid events for FTC, hybrid events for FRC, and we've also added a remote option for FTC for teams who don't feel they can actually meet in person at in-person events. Big thing on hybrids. We covered all these before also. They're smaller single-day events. We limit the number of team members and mentors attending based on whatever the current COVID levels are. Remote judging for all the awards and dean's lists. So those folks will be remote, and we'll talk a little bit when we get into the different FTC and FRC. We'll talk a little bit more about how judging is going to work for each of them. And then the remote, we're going to have an award ceremony. Will be on Tuesday night following that weekend's events. So we have time to get the judges together and figure all that out. The big thing is no in-person spectators. The Twitch, we'll have the Twitch feed, so you can watch the Twitch feed to go through and see what's going on. The other thing, I guess, with that Twitch feed, we're also trying to no promises exactly on this, but we're trying to do it so that we can separate out matches as they're played, and we can store them out there so you can actually go take a look at specific matches after they finish. And again, that goes back to having these video editing folks to help us do some of these things out there. And remote, you basically do the whole remote thing, where you are. I think the teams that are planning on this have already talked to me somewhat about this. So if you have any questions and you're planning on the remotes, please contact me and I can help you walk through it. It's also on that events website, eventsforchesapeake.org. It has a tab on there for FTC for remotes and gives you some resources to figure out how to build your field and do your scoring and all that stuff. Just kind of an update to it. Our team numbers have gone up quite a bit. I think since we talked the last time. We have 247 teams in there already. We have 48 of those teams are actually rookie teams. Currently in the system, we have 12 events, and we have about 50 more assignments that need to be done. So in other words, teams that have either 0 events in the system or 1 event in the system need to get some assignments in. So with that in mind, we're in the process of trying to nail down the logistics and such about this, but we're trying to add 2 more additional events. Those events will be in the greater DC area. If you look in the system, all the events in the greater DC area have been filled up for quite a while. And a lot of we probably had an extra 20 to 30 teams that just came online in the last couple of weeks. The new events will be in January. When they first open up, teams that have no events selected will have preference to get into those events first. So I want to make sure everybody's going to get in there and get 2 events. So we'll work through that one way or another. I know there's some teams that are a little nervous on that, but as soon as these open up, I'll contact those of you that need to do that. You can make those changes. And I will warn you, for teams that are already signed up for stuff, I lock the events so you can't unassign yourself from an event just so you end up with 0 or 1. So, please let the teams come in first. Once they have space, we'll have additional space in those events for either you moving around or third plays or whatever in there. So just kind of bear with us, but, we're hoping to have something by the beginning of December. We'll have those events will be up and we'll have people in them and moved around a little bit. So, they're coming anyway. When you look at the current events, these are the current events that are in the system. If you go again to that first on that eventsforchesapeake.org, that has that list of events through there. If you click on any of those, it'll actually bring you to the details for it. And I encourage you to do this, and we'll talk a little more when we get to FRC, but we're doing the same thing with FRC. It'll show you, a map, directions, so you can get directions on how to get to the place. It'll have a picture showing you where to load in. The schedule will be out there. Right now for FTC, if you click on team details, it'll take you down and show you all the other teams that are registered at your venue. That's coming very soon. We'll have the same thing for FRC as well, so you'll know where you fit into that in detail-wise. And again, like I say, the 2 events that we'll add will be sometime mid-February mid-January to the beginning of February there. just want to kind of repeat this. This is out on that events page as well. It gives you the COVID policy, but if you look at the rates that are in there, if you look at the states overall, I mean, all three, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, all of them are overall, the states are in the moderate range, but there are several counties in both states that are in substantial. And again, we're going to be posting some of this stuff, updating it on the web pages as well, so you can kind of follow along with it. But at least a week out, we'll notify everybody what those numbers are. But as you can see, we're trying to go with, for FTC here, we're trying to go with 18 teams. So we'll do 18 teams, and the maximum number of team members and mentors that can come is going to vary depending on how it is. But you can see for most teams, 13 members is still, it is most teams. So it shouldn't really be a problem. But again, if you have any questions about any of this, just feel free to contact me. For the FTC events, we're basically running 2 cohorts. That's how we're going to do 18 in the morning and 18 teams in the afternoon for the most part. And so what we're doing is for the teams that travel more than 60 miles to get to the event, they'll have their choice of whether they want to go in the morning session or the afternoon session. So far, the few that I've talked to have all been afternoon, because you can get there, travel in the light. You don't have to travel in the dark. But if you plan on staying over or something, maybe you want to stay over, compete in the morning, go home, or go do something the rest of the time. I don't know, but that's kind of what we're going to do. So as we get closer, when we're 2 weeks out from the event, I'll contact the teams that are still locked into that event, and that's when you'll get your preference, what it is. And then we'll kind of switching gears, we'll jump over to FRC at the moment, and this is numbers actually a little higher, but this was as of noontime today. We had 87 teams that were secured, meaning that they had paid in there, 2 of which were rookies. We had roughly 20 more teams in the pipeline for a total of 107. And since that's happened, we're actually up to 108 teams. But if any of you guys are in that category of that 20, you need any assistance in making sure you get things through in the system, let me know, and I'll try to work with you on that. Or if you for sure aren't going to compete this year, let us know that as well, so we can shift folks around in events and such. The big cutoff, I think, is you got probably another week to pay. After that, it will affect your kickoff, because they basically start shipping kits for kickoff the beginning of December for our areas at least. The big thing here is, originally we had laid it out for potentially having just 90 teams. And we ended up, as most people know, we ended up adding another event in the DC area. So, there's 2 events going to be in the Richmond area and 4 events in the DC area. And right now the plan is, the 2 in Richmond will be in the same venue. The 4 in DC will be in the same venue. And I mean, with that, what we're trying to do is get those venues, get our contracts and things in place and finished by the end of this month. So by December, the beginning of December, we'll be able to let you, all the teams, know exactly the location of where these events are. They will be in the, in the greater Richmond or the greater DC area. So that's not, we're not going to move them someplace else, but it takes a little bit of time to do because they're commercial kind of venues to get a contract through and all that, especially if they're not used to doing these kind of events. The other one is that we were asked this before too, is we're planning on a week 0 event, one north and one south at this point in time. So that will happen. The district championship, is when it is on the schedule there, but it's also, we're not doing the dual division. That's been a question some people have asked. We're doing a single division event. There'll be 60 teams, just like all of our other championships have been in the past. And with it, there's the events that are there. And I really just wanted to talk a little bit about events. Again, that eventsforchesapeake.org is on the top there because that's where that schedule is. If you go out there, you click on FRC, it'll show you a map of teams and that kind of stuff of where they're located. I will say I haven't updated that map with this year's data yet. It's old, but that'll be updated probably over this weekend, so you can see the teams that are competing, that have actually paid and secured themselves and are competing this year. The big thing there is when you signed up for events, you signed up for a day 1 or a day 2. So if I take that first event for the Greater DC one or the Richmond, either one of them, they occur 3-5 and 3-6. Well, day 1 teams that actually do the competition will be on that first day. Will be on the 5th. The ones that compete the second day will be on the 6th. The thing with it is the cultural awards are going to be judged across both the 5th and the 6th. And the way that works is if you compete on the 5th, you'll be judged on the 6th. If you compete, the reverse it. You compete on Saturday, you get judged on Sunday. Compete on Sunday, you get judged on Saturday. So that's how those will be handled. If for teams that are traveling far distances, because we have some, especially we have quite a few that are going to DC that are from far away places that are kind of trying to do other things the other day. In those cases, we will try to make exceptions to your judging schedule so that you can do them at other times. And I would say, the cultural awards, don't forget, are things, Dean's List and Chairman's and those kind of things. Exactly what First Headquarters is putting into that, we won't know all the nitty gritty of that until they actually come out with the game manual at kickoff. So the awards will be given that the day of. So if you're in day 1, the awards for finalist and winner, the medals and the trophies and all that will be given out at the end of that event. So hopefully that answers it. I saw one of the questions in there. The thing on here is we're looking at teams playing 10 to 12 qualifiers. At the moment, we think we can get to 12 qualifiers, but that may end up getting cut back simply because of, we have a lot of teams that are not only true rookie teams, but we have a lot of rookie teams that are veteran teams that are really like rookies. And so we have to kind of do the trade-off of what kind of cycle times can we actually deal with going through this. And again, we're going to try for the 12, but it may end up being the 10. But right now, you'll see a schedule in a minute, and that's based on the 12. We'll do playoffs, and that because the fact there's only 18 teams, it'll end up being semifinals and finals. And then again, the winner or finalist awards will be given the day of the event. So at the tail end, you'll get to take home those things with you. And again, same kind of thing as we talked about for FTC. I mean, the venues where we're talking about, they're all in the moderate right now anyway. And keep in mind that chart, the way you read it is that's got that 7-day rate, per 100,000 and positivity rate, and it's an or in there. So in some cases, either or one of those are quite high. So, I mean, we have some counties actually that are at like 50% positivity, for example. So, and this is this is a draft. This isn't set in stone, and hopefully this will answer a few more questions I think people have. This is we get in the morning, everybody comes in. The idea with inspections are you actually do a self-inspection of your robot, fill out all the paperwork just like you were going through a real inspection. You bring that paperwork with you, and we do we have a small crew of robot inspectors, lead robot inspector there that will actually check your paperwork and do a quick look over of the robot, and hopefully the inspections will go much quicker. They're probably going to include, weighing robots and that kind of thing too, in there. But again, that process is something First Headquarters is working out for us as well. The big thing on load in there is, the pit space. What you need for your pit is, what we're saying is don't bring a ton of stuff with you because there are no judges there. Minimal equipment in order to fix your robot while you're there, and kind of go from there. That way you can load in quickly. As you can see, we're trying to load in very quickly, and also load out very quickly on the flip side. And so, I mean, I guess you can see, we start qualification matches at 9:30. We'd finish them at around 3 o'clock, and then go and do playoffs. And the award ceremony would be basically, the winner finalist thing, and so on, and then load out at the tail end. So that's our draft of what we're looking at. But again, this draft, we have to work this out and tweak this with what's kind of going on with headquarters. And as well as, the reason I kind of go back and forth on the 10 to 12 qualifiers is depends on what the season's like. Okay, this 12 qualifiers fitting into that time frame is based on, the first third of the day is doing 10-minute cycles. The second 2/3 of that qualifiers are actually doing 8-minute cycles. So, again, it assumes that we can do field reset and all those things quick enough to make this happen. And we don't, because we don't know what the game is actually like, and we don't know what the reset's like or any of that stuff. We're going to have to tweak it when we know more of that stuff. So. The other thing been getting lots of questions. Everybody's like, aren't FRC event costs covered by first registrations? And then the other one is, how does this get affected in single day events? And I just wanted to, point out the fact that from an FTC perspective, our event fees cover the events. So, we try to charge the amount that just covers the events. We're not talking salaries or anything like that. We're just talking about paying for the venue, paying for the expenses of shipping the stuff there, getting away, and so on. And in FRC, the way it works is, I just put the 107 teams up there. The teams pay the $5,000. 1,000 of that comes to First Chesapeake. 4,000 of it goes to First Headquarters. So if you look at that, that would give us $107,000 comes to First Chesapeake. $428,000 goes to First. In the championship level, you pay another $4,000 to go there. Those 60 teams, First Chesapeake gets 0. And First gets the 240. So if you look at that at the bottom, that 107,000 that's there has to cover all of our events. So in a normal world, our events in the past, so they tell you to budget $20,000 per qualifying event. If you budget $20,000 times 6 and say we've got those 6, there's $120,000 it costs just to do the qualifiers. Not even talking about doing the district championship. And so the rest of that has to get made up by going out and finding sponsors to actually pay for that. And again, that's paying that $20,000 or whatever for that event does not include anybody's salary. So any of us that are working trying to make these events possible aren't even included in there. So, like I say, in FTC, the events are paid for. We have to worry about getting sponsors in order to pay the salaries and the overhead that it costs to run this thing. And how does that change in a single day event? It doesn't actually change very much. It puts us in the situation where we're closer to not losing as much money. Is really what it comes down to. But FRC is a very costly program, as I think many of you know that actually do it. And, I had like 3 or 4 questions from it. And I just wanted to kind of put this out there so everybody can actually understand that we have a lot to do in order to be able to put on FRC events. The other one that came up, and this was from the last time. This first question was, what would the price of third plays be? For us, third plays are $1,000. But the reason I left this in here is some folks have been looking at other places, and the prices for third plays run the gamut across the board from district to district, as well as even regional to regional, and basically the different venues are allowed to set their own price for third plays. The bulk of the places do the $1,000, and that's kind of why we settled in it. We're trying to keep similar to what a lot of the folks around us are doing. But anybody can change it to whatever they want. So we'll kind of go from there. If you have questions, and I know I've talked to several people this week specifically about doing third plays. If I do third play in districts, how does it work for awards and so on? Or third plays in a regional, and how does that all work? Those are things that they vary whether you're in going to a regional or whether you're going to a district. And probably the easiest thing is just contact me directly, and I'll help walk you through it if that's something that you're interested in doing. We've basically said we're not allowing out of district plays to come into our area, so it doesn't affect it. It doesn't mean you can't go do it someplace else. And then the volunteer crew thing, I just wanted to put that one in there. I mean, we're trying to, for these back-to-back single-day events, we're trying to, the volunteers that come the closest to the teams all throughout the day and so on, we're trying to not use them the 2 days back-to-back just for exposure levels for them and for teams. We have situations where with some of the key volunteers, it gets a little tougher to do. But again, we're certainly want to separate folks as much as we possibly can. And if you happen to be in a situation where you want to volunteer and you're not comfortable doing it, no matter what position you're in, we're more than happy to work with you in doing that. So you don't have to come and for both days or any of that. To do it. The exception might be is if you're a judge, you're judging across both days, you pretty much have to do that. But that's more of a remote thing, just for consistency's sake. And the other one is the question on the bottom is a question I couldn't answer last time. For team advisory information, that is actually on. It's been updated and it's put on our website who the current this year's players are on that advisory board. And that's all I had for in here. So we'll just go ahead and open it up to questions. I think there's some out there, so we will put some up. Okay, well, playoffs for FRCB round robin, how many alliances and so on. They will be round robin style, as far as I know. But exactly how it's going to work is not something that's actually been worked out by headquarters yet. So pretty much have to wait and see what they're saying. But it will be some. I'm assuming that in your case and probably in some of the other folks that are around here, you played round robins in some of the off-season events, and that's what we have to do. So. As we know more, we will definitely share it with you, by all means. But so, anybody have any other questions? It looks like I'm just kind of scrolling down through there. I think I touched on most of the other things that are on there. We did one thing. I'll add it when we talked about week zeros, in talking with some of the lead robot inspectors, we thought that we might at a week zero actually have some inspectors potentially come there to work with any teams that happen to either be competing or wanted to just bring their robot to kind of go through a little bit of a pre-inspection kind of thing, just to help you figure out what you need to do and how to do your own inspection, basically. So when you get there, you're almost guaranteed of passing. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. So I guess even though we had till 7, there's no sense taking up everybody's time. We'll give that time back to you guys. And we can kind of end it here. The thing I would say is, if you have questions that come up, let me know. Oriented towards FRC than anything is. There's some FRC teams that are waitlisted for events and so on. And I don't know whether you're looking for switching or you're looking for third plays or whatever. At the moment, we only have 2 teams that actually are in there as third plays. So if you have things like that, you're going to have to contact me about it. It's once the 15th came, once the 15th happened, what occurred is you're locked down, so you can't make changes yourself anyway. So you have to contact me so that we can turn around and get those changes made. I know there's still, I think, 3 or 4 folks that have not selected a kickoff location. That's something else. Please select a kickoff location. Again, you're going to have to contact me and tell me where you want to go for kickoff, and I can take care of that. Or you can say you want it at my site, and it'll get shipped to you as long as you have a shipping address in on for your team. Just remember, you won't get it for kickoff. It'll be 2-3 weeks later probably because of all the shipping problems we're having. They won't ship until after kickoff. So, okay. All right. I'd like to, thank Accenture Federal for sponsoring this again, and we'll close it out for the night.
I like to liken it to the Avengers and how everyone is really good at their one thing.
My personal definition of consulting at AFS is coming in, working with the client to truly understand their problem.
It's more than just solving problems that I thought it was before. It's more about creating value for your client.
We anticipate our clients' needs before they know what their problem is.
Helping the client achieve a goal. And all of us are working together to achieve that unified goal.
And they all come together with that diversity of skills and perspectives to help solve the client need or the client problem.
I love the people. I love working in so many different teams. It's so diverse.
It's very inclusive. It very much pushes each individual to do their best.
Accenture encourages us to bring our true selves to work because when we're all different, that's how we get such amazing creativity and innovative ideas.
At this company, you will feel like a part of the family. 100%. People actually care, and it goes further than just the people on your team.
And everyone within Accenture leadership is very approachable, which I think is a really, really great foundational aspect of the culture at Accenture.
I make a difference to my client by really owning my project. The most meaningful part of my job is being able to see the code I write be produced into production and have a real-world impact.
Being able to deliver work that has a direct positive impact on our federal services, our government, or our people.
Personally, I have helped to raise the number of applications to my agency and the amount of jobs we're actually putting out per year, which is awesome. I'm so happy about that.
We make a difference for our client by always making sure that they're on a new path and that they're working with the newest technologies. We actually have an innovation day where we pitch to them the newest technology that we found that can help them.
I noticed it when I wanted to hang out with my coworkers outside of work.
For me is when I joined the African American Employee Resource Group. It felt great to join a community that was a little smaller than just AFS as a whole.
For me, I was so fortunate that it was my very first day in the office. I saw someone I had met at a conference who really piqued my interest in Accenture. I met my summer buddy who just so happened to work in my office as well. And I realized I was basically surrounded with family.
When we were at a meeting that was account-wide and we were recognizing individuals for their accomplishments, it was just great to see AFS really value their people.
I made a big mistake, and I was like, this is probably the first mistake I've ever made in my career, like really big. And I was like, oh no, this is gonna be awful. Like, I'm gonna get fired. Like, people are gonna hate me. And then I remember my manager coming up to me and just saying, hey DJ, like, I know you're probably bugging out a little bit about the mistake, but it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. Like, we always fix everything. And at that moment, I was like, wow, like this, like I said, this is more than just a job. People actually care about their people here. And at that moment, I definitely was like, hey, like this is home for sure.